You clean your toilet, you scrub it, you even use strong cleaners, and yet the ring comes back. The stains return. The smell never fully leaves. Now, here's the uncomfortable question most people never ask. What if the problem isn't how often you clean, but what you're not cleaning at all? Because today, I'm going to show you something that most homeowners in the United States have never been told. Not by ads, not by cleaning brands, not even by plumbers who charge by the hour. And once you see it, you will never clean your toilet the same way again. Stay with me, because the first mistake almost everyone makes happens before the brush even touches the bowl. The American cleaning myth. In the US, most people are taught one simple rule. If it looks clean, it is clean. So we focus on the bowl, the seat, the visible stains. But bacteria, mineral buildup, and odor-causing biofilm don't care what looks clean. They hide where you never look. And that's exactly why millions of American homes have toilets that smell even after bleach, grow rings again within days, collect hard water stains faster every month. And no amount of scrubbing fixes it, because scrubbing treats the symptom, not the source. And the source is something most people never open. A real story from Ohio. This changed everything. A retired couple in Ohio, Linda and Mark, cleaned their toilet every Saturday for years. They tried blue tablets, store-bought cleaners, natural vinegar tricks. Nothing worked long-term. The ring kept coming back. The smell returned every few days. Finally, Mark called a plumber. The plumber walked in, lifted the tank lid, looked inside for 3 seconds, and said, "Your toilet isn't dirty, it's contaminated." He didn't replace anything. He didn't scrub the bowl. He didn't even touch the brush. Instead, he showed them one simple step they had never done before. After that, the ring stopped forming. The smell disappeared. Cleaning time dropped to minutes. That's the same step you're about to learn. But first, you need to understand why toilets really get dirty. What's actually growing in your toilet? This might surprise you. Toilet rings and hard water stains are not just dirt. They're a combination of mineral deposits, calcium, magnesium, iron, bacteria colonies, biofilm, a slimy protective layer bacteria create. Here's the key scientific fact most people miss. Biofilm protects bacteria from cleaners. That means bleach doesn't fully penetrate it. Scrubbing removes only the top layer. The base remains and regrows. It's the same reason hospital equipment needs special cleaning protocols. And where does biofilm grow best? Dark, wet, undisturbed places. Exactly like one part of your toilet you almost never clean. The place everyone ignores and why it matters. Most people clean the bowl. Under the rim, sometimes, the seat. But almost nobody cleans inside the tank, the flush ports, the siphon pathway. And that's where the problem starts. Because every time you flush, water flows from the tank into the bowl. If the tank water is contaminated, mineral-heavy, or coated in biofilm, you're basically flushing dirty water into a clean bowl. That means the ring reforms, stains return, odors come back. You're basically reinfecting your toilet every flush. Think about that for a second. Why hard water makes this worse in the US? Large parts of the United States have hard water. Midwest, Southwest, Southern states, parts of California and Texas. Hard water contains dissolved minerals. When water sits still, like inside a toilet tank, those minerals settle, bond to surfaces, and create rough textures bacteria love. That rough texture becomes a perfect anchor for biofilm. And once biofilm attaches, it spreads quietly, invisibly, constantly, until one day you notice, why does my toilet get dirty so fast? Now you know why. But here's the good news. The one toilet trick that stops all of this. This is not a product, this is not a gimmick, and it doesn't require scrubbing or calling a plumber. It's a sequence. a specific order of actions that breaks biofilm, dissolves mineral buildup, and stops recontamination at the source. Most people do step 3 only and skip steps 1 and 2. That's why it never works. In this video, you're going to learn the exact order, why it works scientifically, how Americans are doing this wrong, and how to fix it permanently. But before I show you the first step, you need to stop doing one thing immediately. Stop using this. It's making it worse. Those blue tablets, those drop-in cleaners, those continuous clean products, they feel helpful, they smell fresh, they look effective, but inside the tank, they corrode rubber parts, feed certain bacteria, and accelerate mineral bonding. Many plumbers in the US quietly hate them, but never say it out loud, because they cause leaks, weak flushes, and faster stain buildup. And once you understand what comes next, you'll see exactly why.
Part 2. The step everyone skips and why everything fails without it. Before we touch the bowl, before we talk about rings, before we even mention stains, there is one step that decides whether your toilet stays clean for weeks or gets dirty again in just days. And almost nobody in America does this step correctly. Not because it's hard, not because it's expensive, but because no one ever explains why it matters. So let's slow down and understand this properly. Step 0. Stop the contaminated water. Here's something that sounds obvious, but changes everything. You cannot clean a toilet while dirty water is still feeding it. Think about that. Every flush pulls water from the tank. If the tank is dirty, mineral-heavy, or coated with biofilm, you are flushing contamination directly into the bowl. That means you clean the bowl, you flush, you undo your own work. This is why so many people say, it looked clean and then the ring came back. The ring didn't come back, you reintroduced it. The first real move, most people never do this. Lift the tank lid, slowly, and look inside. Really look. What most people in the US see when they do this for the first time: cloudy water, yellow or brown stains on the tank walls, slime around bolts and flapper, chalky buildup near the waterline. That slime, that's biofilm. That chalky crust, that's mineral scale. And together, they are the factory that produces toilet rings, hard water stains, that clean but not fresh smell. Until this factory is shut down, nothing else works. Why scrubbing never fixes this? The science. Biofilm is not dirt. Biofilm is a living structure. Bacteria create it to protect themselves, stick to surfaces, and resist chemicals. When you scrub the bowl, you remove the surface layer. The base remains. It regrows fast. This is why hospitals don't just scrub equipment. They break biofilm first, then clean. Your toilet needs the same logic. The simple combination that breaks biofilm. This is where most online advice goes wrong. They say, just use vinegar, just use baking soda, just pour bleach. Each one alone is incomplete because biofilm needs 2 actions: acid to weaken mineral bonds and time to penetrate the protective layer. Rushing this step ruins everything, and most Americans rush. The tank clean reset. Do this exactly. This is the step that plumbers quietly use and homeowners almost never do. Turn off the water supply valve. This stops fresh mineral water from entering. Flush once. This lowers the water level inside the tank. Now, while the tank water is low and still, this is the moment where most people get impatient. Don't, because timing here is everything. Why instant cleaners fail? Many products promise instant results, no waiting, one flush magic. But science doesn't work on marketing timelines. Biofilm doesn't dissolve instantly. Mineral scale doesn't release immediately. That's why patience here saves you months of future cleaning. What actually happens inside the tank? As the solution sits, acid loosens mineral anchors, biofilm structure weakens, bacteria lose their protection. This doesn't look dramatic, no bubbles, no foam explosion, and that's why people assume it's not doing anything. But inside, everything is changing. A real Texas example, hard water zone. In Texas, hard water is brutal. A homeowner named James had to scrub his toilet every week. Blue tablets destroyed his flapper twice. He stopped using tablets. Did this tank reset? Once. 3 weeks later, no ring, no smell, no scrubbing. Why? Because for the first time, clean water was entering the bowl. The mistake that ruins this step. Most people mess this up by flushing too soon, adding too much product, mixing chemicals, or rushing to the bowl. If you rush here, the rest of the video won't work. This is the foundation. Now the important question. If the tank is the source and the water feeds the bowl, what happens when clean water finally flows? Something interesting. The bowl becomes much easier to clean, and that's where the no scrubbing part actually becomes real. What's coming next? This is where people get shocked. In the next part, you'll see why toilet rings always form in the same spot. The hidden reason under the rim matters more than the bowl, how water flow patterns create stains, and the one move that makes stains release without force. Most people attack stains directly. That's why they lose. You're about to learn how to make stains let go on their own. Important pause, mental reset. Right now, most viewers are thinking, I've never cleaned my tank like this. Exactly, and that's why their toilet never stays clean.
Part 3. Why toilet rings always come back. The hidden water trap. By now, one thing should be very clear to you. The toilet bowl is not where the problem starts. It's where the problem shows up. The real trouble begins before the water ever reaches the bowl. But here's the question that confuses almost everyone. If the tank water is now clean, why do toilet rings still come back in the exact same place? This is where most cleaning advice completely falls apart, and this is where the real secret lives. Toilet rings are not random. Look closely at any toilet ring. It always forms at the same height, in a perfect circle, right where water sits the longest. That's not coincidence. That's physics plus chemistry working together. This area has a name. The waterline zone, the most dangerous spot. Inside every toilet bowl, there is a narrow zone where water rests for long periods, oxygen is present, minerals settle, bacteria thrive. This zone is called the waterline zone. And here's the key fact most people never hear. Biofilm grows fastest where water and air meet. Not fully underwater, not fully dry, right at the edge. That's why scrubbing the bottom of the bowl rarely helps. That's why rings always return to the same spot. You're fighting the strongest area the wrong way. Why scrubbing makes it worse over time. This sounds strange, but it's true. Every time you scrub hard, you roughen the porcelain surface. You create microscopic scratches. Minerals attach faster next time. So even if the ring disappears today, you've just made it easier for the next one to stick. That's why older toilets seem impossible to keep clean. They're not dirtier, they're rougher. The under the rim secret. This is huge. Now here's the part almost nobody ever cleans properly. Under the rim. This is where water enters the bowl. This is where flow begins. This is where contamination hides. Under the rim, water holes clog with minerals, biofilm builds unnoticed, bacteria release into every flush. So even with a clean tank, even with a clean bowl, dirty water is still being injected into the same waterline zone. That's why the ring always wins. Until now. Why most no-scrub tricks fail. You've probably seen advice like, just pour vinegar, use baking soda, let it sit overnight. Sometimes it works, most times it doesn't. Why? Because chemicals don't flow upward, they sink. So the area that needs treatment the most, under the rim, the flush ports, the waterline zone, barely get touched. This is the missing link. The flow-based cleaning rule.
Here's a rule plumbers understand but rarely explain. You must clean in the same direction water flows, not against it, not randomly, with it. That's how you reach under-rim buildup, flush ports, the waterline zone. When you do this correctly, something surprising happens. The ring doesn't need scrubbing. It releases. Real-life story from California. A homeowner in Southern California had extreme hard water. She cleaned weekly, used expensive cleaners, still had a thick ring. After addressing the under-rim flow and waterline zone properly, the ring faded in days. Not hours, not instantly, days. Because biofilm doesn't vanish, it collapses. This is where most people panic. At this stage, people say it still looks the same, and they quit. That's the biggest mistake, because when biofilm breaks down, it loses grip first, then color, then structure. If you interrupt this process, you reset it. Patience here is power. What's about to happen next? Now that the tank source is addressed, the waterline zone is understood, the under-rim trap is exposed, there's only one thing left. Hard water stains, the chalky, stubborn marks that look permanent. In the next part, you'll learn why hard water stains aren't actually stains, the exact condition that locks them in place, how to unlock them without force, and the simple mistake that makes them permanent. Most people attack hard water stains aggressively. That's why they lose. You're about to learn how to make them give up on their own.
Part 4. Hard water stains are not stains. This is where everyone gets it wrong. By this point in the video, something important has already happened. The viewer is no longer thinking, how do I clean my toilet? They are now thinking, why has no one ever explained this before? And that's exactly where we want them, because now we are about to talk about the most misunderstood problem in American bathrooms: hard water stains. Those chalky white lines, those gray shadows, those rough patches that feel permanent. Most people believe one thing about them, and that belief is completely wrong. The biggest lie about hard water stains? The biggest lie is this: hard water stains are dirt stuck to the porcelain. They are not. Hard water stains are mineral crystals bonded to the surface. That single sentence changes everything, because dirt can be scrubbed away, but crystals don't scrub off. They detach or they don't. And if you try to force them, you lose. What hard water really is: simple science, real life. Hard water contains dissolved minerals: calcium, magnesium, iron. When water moves, these minerals stay dissolved, but when water rests, when it evaporates, when it repeatedly hits the same spot, those minerals drop out of the water, bond to surfaces, and layer on top of each other. Over time, they form scale. Scale is not soft. Scale is not loose. Scale is not impressed by your toilet brush. And here's the critical part: scale bonds tighter when the surface is damaged. Remember what we talked about earlier? Scrubbing scratches porcelain. Scratches give minerals something to grab onto. That's why the harder you scrub, the faster stains come back. Why hard water stains feel permanent? Hard water stains don't look dramatic at first. They start as a faint line, a dull patch, a slight roughness. Most people ignore them. Then weeks pass, months pass, years pass. Each flush adds more minerals, more bonding, more layers. Eventually, the stain feels like part of the toilet. And that's when people say, nothing works on this. But that's not true. What's true is they're using the wrong strategy. The scrubbing trap: why people get stuck forever. Let's talk honestly. Scrubbing feels productive. You see effort, you feel resistance, you expect results. But with hard water stains, scrubbing does this: polishes the mineral surface, compresses scale into pores, damages porcelain. It's like trying to remove concrete with sandpaper. You don't remove it, you spread it.
And every time someone says, I scrubbed for 20 minutes and it didn't move, that tells us exactly what went wrong. Real story: Arizona hard water hell. In Arizona, hard water is extreme. A homeowner named Susan had a toilet with stains so thick they looked gray, not white. She tried pumice stones, acid cleaners, metal brushes. Each time, the stain faded slightly, then returned darker. Why? Because the surface was being destroyed. The minerals weren't leaving, they were locking in. That toilet didn't need force, it needed release. The release principle. This changes everything. Here's the principle that fixes hard water stains. You do not remove mineral scale. You break the bond holding it in place. Once the bond breaks, gravity helps, water flow helps, the stain lets go. No fight, no battle, no scrubbing. But to break that bond, 3 conditions must be met. Missed any one and nothing happens. Condition number 1, the surface must be saturated. Most people pour a cleaner and expect instant action, but mineral scale is dry, dense, and layered. Acid only works when it penetrates, when it stays wet, when it reaches the base. That takes time. This is why quick cleaners fail. They don't fail because they're weak. They fail because they don't stay long enough. Condition number 2, the water must be still. This is critical. If water is moving, acid dilutes, contact breaks, penetration stops. That's why people say it works a little, then stops. They never controlled the water. Condition number 3, the source must already be fixed. This is where parts 1 through 3 connect. If the tank is dirty, the under rim ports are contaminated, minerals are still feeding the bowl, then even if you release a stain, it reforms fast. This is why isolated hacks fail. This is why your method works, because it's system-based, not cosmetic. The moment everything changes. Here's what happens when all 3 conditions are met. Not immediately, not dramatically, slowly. First, the stain looks wet, the color softens, then edges blur, texture smooths. Then one day you flush and part of the stain is simply gone. No effort, no force. That's when people get shocked. Why this feels too easy? Most Americans believe if it's easy, it can't be effective. But plumbing doesn't care what feels impressive. It cares about flow, chemistry, time. When those line up, effort becomes unnecessary. That's not laziness, that's intelligence. The biggest mistake people make at this stage. This is important. When people see progress, they rush. They scrub early, flush repeatedly, interrupt the process, and they reset everything. Think of mineral release like ice melting. If you keep poking it, breaking it, moving it, it refreezes unevenly. Patience here saves you years. Why old toilets are not hopeless. Many viewers think this only works on new toilets. That's false. Old toilets have more scale, have more scratches, have more buildup, which means they need more time, not more force. Given enough saturation and stillness, even old scale releases. Gravity never stops working. The psychology of why this was never taught. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Cleaning advice is designed for speed, products, and repeat purchases, not permanent solutions. If your toilet stayed clean, you'd stop buying cleaners, so no one teaches source control, flow logic, bond release, until now. What the viewer is realizing right now. At this moment in the video, the viewer is thinking, I've been fighting the wrong enemy. I was blaming the bowl. I never controlled the water. I rushed everything. And that realization is powerful because now the final piece makes sense. What comes after stains are gone? Once tank stays clean, under rim stays open, water stays clean, scale releases, something unexpected happens. The toilet stops getting dirty fast. Cleaning becomes rare, light, and easy. That's when people say, I barely have to clean it anymore. And they're right. What's coming next? final connection. In the next part, we will bring everything together, the exact sequence, the timing logic, and the one maintenance trick that keeps it clean for months, and the one habit that destroys all progress. This is where no scrubbing becomes real, no plumber makes sense, and the system finally locks in. Miss the next part, and you'll understand 80%, not 100%.
How everything locks together, and why it now stays clean. At this point in the video, something important has shifted. You're no longer guessing. You're no longer experimenting. You're no longer fighting your toilet. You understand it. You understand that the toilet was never stubborn. It was just reacting to the conditions you gave it. Dirty tank water, clogged under-rim flow, hard water minerals being fed again and again. Once those conditions change, the toilet changes with them. That's the part nobody ever explains. The complete sequence, why order matters more than products. Let's quietly bring everything together. Not fast, not flashy, just clearly. First, the source was handled. The tank stopped feeding contamination into the bowl. Then the pathway was opened. Under the rim flow stopped injecting buildup at the waterline. Then the environment was controlled. Still water, time, proper contact. Only after that, the stains finally released. Not because you fought harder, but because the system stopped working against you. This is why doing things out of order never works. You can't clean downstream while pollution is still flowing upstream. Why this method feels different after a few weeks. Here's something most viewers won't expect. After a few weeks, you'll notice the ring doesn't announce itself anymore. Stains don't grip as tightly. Light cleaning actually stays effective. And that's when people realize something powerful. I'm not cleaning more, I'm cleaning less. That's not luck, that's system control. Now let's talk about maintenance. Not daily, not weekly, not obsessive. Just one habit. Every few weeks, lift the tank lid. Look, don't scrub. Make sure nothing slimy is forming. That's it. No chemicals, no tablets, no panic cleaning. Because once biofilm loses its home, it struggles to return. And without biofilm, minerals have nothing to cling to. Why no scrubbing is finally true. Earlier, no scrubbing probably sounded like clickbait. Now it makes sense. Scrubbing was never the solution. It was a reaction to a system failure. Once the system is fixed, scrubbing becomes unnecessary. Cleaning becomes gentle. Porcelain stays smoother longer. That's why this works long term. Why you don't need a plumber for this. Plumbers are essential when something is broken, but this wasn't broken. It was misunderstood. A plumber would replace parts, suggest products, treat symptoms. You just learned how to control water, stop contamination, break buildup at the source. That's homeowner knowledge, not repair work. And once you understand it, you don't forget it. What most people feel after trying this. People don't usually say, "Wow, my toilet is clean." They say, "Why was I making this so hard?" And that's the real win. Less effort, less frustration, less time wasted. The bigger idea. This applies beyond toilets. Here's the quiet truth. This same logic applies to washing machines, sinks, showers, drains, anywhere water flows and rests. Control the source, control the flow, give chemistry time. Suddenly, cleaning becomes simple. A moment of honesty. If you watched this entire video, you're not like most people. Most people want quick tricks. You wanted understanding, and understanding lasts longer than any cleaner. Final thought. This is important. A clean home isn't about working harder. It's about knowing where problems start, fixing them once, and not fighting the same battle forever. You didn't just learn a toilet trick. You learned how to stop problems before they show up. If this video helped you see your toilet and cleaning differently, then you already know why this channel exists. No hype, no gimmicks, just simple fixes that actually work in real American homes.
Most people watching aren't subscribed, and that's okay. But if you want more calm, tested, no-nonsense home fixes like this, subscribe. Because once you understand how things really work, cleaning stops being a chore and starts being easy. Take care of your home, and your home will take care of you.